What's going on, guys? Rank Up Gaming here, and welcome back to another video. It is of course a new year, which does mean pretty much the same old videos. Usually what happens at New Year for me is that my channel goes through a whole sort of revive because I'm not happy about things from the year before and a bunch of things change. This is probably the first year where I've been happy about how my channel is going into the new year. So usually I'll do a video to sort of give an idea of the upcoming year, but for the most part I don't feel I need to do that because things are going well as they are, and why would I need to update you guys on things that are not going to change? For the one change you might see is more games. For the most part I do play Battlefield 1, but I do also love games like Dishonored, Modern Warfare Remastered, Left 4 Dead 2 I play a lot with friends, and I might begin to do some stuff with them, mainly because for the most part I do play by myself because nobody else with Battlefield. So for Left 4 Dead I'll maybe do a couple of episodes on certain stuff, but if it doesn't do well I won't do more. And maybe if you're interested in something like Dishonored or Hitman, where I'll go up and give you tips about how to do certain stuff, if you can go below and leave that in the comments saying I'd like to see stuff from this game, maybe even games like The Witcher 3, and I'll go and give all the best tips I can, because I know a lot of people who really love that game and have put hundreds, nearly thousands of hours into that game. So if you do have any ideas of games you'd like to see, please leave them down in the comments below. But aside from that, we'll get straight into today's video. And it is, of course, another episode of Flying Ace. Finally, we have the second episode. I know it's been a long time. But finally, we're talking about the attack plane, which is, of course, the second plane in Battlefield 1. Now, in real life, the attack plane was basically just another variant of the fighter plane. Of course, fighter planes came along as reconnaissance planes, and they thought, hey, we can mount machine guns on these. Then they thought, hey, we can mount bigger machine guns on these, and then put bombs on them, and then put rockets on them, and that's where the attack plane came in. And in some way, the attack plane is the closest thing to what we have today in terms of fighter jets. Obviously, it still works the same as a biplane, but in terms of the weapons it has, the speed it goes at, it's pretty similar, because most of the time they can be bombers, ground attacks, pretty good at air-to-air, and usually have two seats. So although that is a bit of a stretch, this thing is made to be the all-round plane. Bit of a dogfight, a bit of a bomber, a bit of an anti-tank sort of thing, and the three variants it have are pretty variable and are really designed to fit different roles so that they don't cross over to different ones. Now the first variant is the ground support. This one has a high caliber autocannon, which is actually pretty good at taking infantry on the ground. For the most part though, it's hard to hit them, especially if you're going straight down. Obviously you've got to worry about hitting somebody and then pulling up before you hit the ground, which are obviously not safe. And also has then 8 fragmentation bombs, which are basically cluster bombs. You drop them on the ground and they explode with mini explosions around them, and they're pretty powerful, although it has a small area. If you land on one of these and it's flashing red, you're basically dead. I've never seen anyone survive one of these, and they land perfectly, and I never survive one myself. Now the second seat has a LMG, which is pretty damn good at taking out air-to-air targets. If you have something in the second seat and there's a plane behind you, chances are then they're pretty much dead, unless they can kill you before that, because the LMG on the back of this thing is amazing. It can also face the front, so if you have a plane in front of you you're trying to shoot at, the gun can also take that out as well. So this LMG is actually pretty damn powerful. And lastly, the special for the ground support variant is a spotting flare. This thing is kind of hard to aim, especially if you fly directly in third person, which I do most of the time, and occasionally what happens is you shoot it and it goes too far, or it's too short, or it's not in area you want it to be in. So this thing is pretty hard to aim, and for the most part I rely on teammates rather than the spotting flares to find out where the enemies are. Now this is obviously meant to be the bomber variant, and it is pretty good at that. The autocannons, like I said, are pretty powerful, and for the most part they are decent at anti-infantry. Again, the main problem with them is that you have to aim them when you're going directly down, and that makes it difficult because things can shoot back at you. You might end up hitting the ground or a tree or something like that, which can make it pretty hard to fly down when you're shooting. It is actually faster than the standard bomber, and the cluster grenade, like I said, is pretty damn hard to avoid. But for the most part, the problem you find is that, again, if you're going to use the autocannons, then you obviously make yourself an easy target, and if you have to fly low enough to get a good cluster drop, then obviously other things can shoot back at you. Also then, the autocannon isn't amazing at anti-air. Really with anti-air you want something that fires pretty damn fast and just covers the air, because for the most part then, you don't have to worry about accuracy. You can just shoot and all the shots are going to hit. The problem with the autocannon is that you can hit a bomber a couple of times and it won't do too much damage unless you can hit the engine or wings, of course, which point makes it hard for him to fly. But for the most part, I usually find they get taken out by the LMG in the rear of the bombers as opposed to taking out the bomber itself. The second variant is the Airship Buster. Now this thing has 8 wing-mounted rockets, and these things are more like fireworks. It sounds weird to say more like fireworks. That's what they look like on the plane itself. Obviously they're not. Compared to rockets we have these days, they are completely different. But for the most part, they're actually pretty powerful against the airship and bombers. Against anything else, they're pretty useless. It also then has very powerful TUF heavy machine guns, and of course then a secondary energy on the back. Now it also has a speed boost ability, which is kind of helpful to get away from people, but for the most part you don't usually find that the speed boost is the best one because, well, it's just a speed boost. You can't repair yourself any better, you can't actually spot anyone any better, and usually just fly away faster and they go, oh no, he's gone faster, I guess I'll go a different way or leave him alone. Now overall this one was much better than the beta. This was really the anti-behemoth loadout back in the beta, where if it comes in, just go up, take it out, and the train will be done way before it can do any damage because the rockets of this thing were so powerful. Now with the TUF guns, they're pretty powerful, but they're not very good at anything against the bomber or the airship, and that's the same for the rockets. They're not much good against the bomber or the airship. The bomber even then is hard to hit because you only have 8 of these things, and the bomber could be everywhere. You can be flying with these, you can be shot at, and you might miss a lot of shots. And the airship then is heavily defended. Even then, people are going to be on the anti-air guns trying to take you out while you're trying to take the bomber out, which can make it pretty damn hard. If you can use it effectively though, as same for most things in Battlefield 1, you can definitely dominate if you know what you're doing. Again, it's pretty hard to do that, and for the most part I wouldn't pick this variant mainly because it is so specialist, but it can do pretty well. Another final variant is the Tank Hunter with a 37mm nose cannon, which is basically designed to be anti-tank. In reality, it's a bit like mounting a tank gun on the front of an airplane and having a flying tank that doesn't have as much armor, but is basically like that. It also then has 2 50kg heavy explosive bombs and a light machine gun on the back, of course, and then an emergency repair. Now for me, the best way to describe this thing is straight up muscle. You have a 37mm anti-tank gun, which again is basically a tank gun mounted on the front of a plane, along then with massive 50kg high explosive bombs, and also they've got the LMG is still amazing, and the emergency repair means if you get hit you can instantly repair, go for another loop, as opposed to having to think I'll have to fall back, repair a bit and come back for another loop. You can instantly go round again and use that emergency repair. Now the nose cannon doesn't kill tanks in one shot. I believe it's 2 to 3 depending on what tank it is, and for the most part you will find that once you can shoot at that tank, it can also shoot back at you, and so can other things. Again, it has the same problem as the autocannon for the bomber. When you have to go down and shoot the tank, other things can shoot back at you. So then the bombs are kind of helpful as a more ranged, safer option that is obviously harder to aim and doesn't do as much damage, but is still pretty damn good at doing damage to tanks. So for the most part, I'd say if you're a really good experienced pilot and you definitely know how to dive bomb and do low flying runs towards infantry and tanks, this is definitely the variant to go for. And overall, it's just a lot of fun to use with a tank gun mounted on the front of a plane, which is kind of something that'd be cool to see in modern day. If you imagine a tank gun mounted on like an F-15, that'd be awesome and unlikely, but again, that would just be so cool to see. Now from these 3 variants, I would say that my favourite is probably the ground support, mostly because I just find that this thing is pretty good as a bomber. It's in some way better than the bomber is as a bomber, but for the most part, again, that thing has more bombs that can drop, meaning you can do more damage, while this thing is faster with less armour, but more variability to it. But if you want to just fly a plane, then obviously the Airship Buster is the better one. And if you want to have a lot of fun destroying shit, then the Tank Hunter is definitely the most fun variant there. So for the most part, it doesn't really matter which one is better, it matters which one you'll enjoy more, or which one you find you can do best with. Now a final little tip with this thing, using any variant of these, if you're being chased by another plane, usually fighter planes, just because fighter plane pilots will chase everything, and you have a problem, there's no rear gunner, and you think, oh shit, I can't take this guy out because obviously I can't turn around fast enough, I don't have anything to shoot him with, you can actually switch to the second seat and take him out extremely fast. That LMG in the back is super powerful, fires really fast, and of course can look everywhere on the plane, so if he flies ahead of you try and get away, you can still hit him. So if it's just you, you're flying in a straight line and this guy's chasing you, think, okay, I'll instantly change to the second seat and take him out as quick as I can. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Don't forget, tell me what games you would like to see me play more down below in the comments. Rainbow Six Siege is always one I play, but it hasn't done very well in the last couple of videos, which obviously isn't a good sign. But for the most part, I'll continue to do videos now because I really enjoy doing them. But again, hopefully you did enjoy it. If you like to subscribe, Mike Up Gaming, out.